We got no engines.
We got no engines!
Do we? Do we? No engines. And what does that mean? I guess it's time to put something new in. So no FRX RS update video this week, as I'm still waiting for the carbon deck to come in, and I'm assuming it's going to take another week or so. And once that I see that the new carbon deck's fit and finish is all nice and perfect, then I'll be sure to let you guys know to open up pre-orders. So what do I do when I'm not fooling around with RC drift cars? Well, I'm playing around with these little micro crawlers. These are a few of my designs of custom chassis that I've made in the past, and along with that video I made a budget tips and tricks SCX24 video showcasing some DIY mods and some cheap budget performance mods for these awesome micro crawling machines. Hey guys, I'm Cam and welcome back to Shredcraft RC. Today we're checking out a new motor for the SCX24 and the Traxxas TRX4M from Sequre. So Sequre had recently reached out and asked if I wanted to try out a brand new product on the market. And this is a new brushless ESC and motor for the SCX24 or the Traxxas TRX4M. And as many of you know, I've designed a few custom chassis for the SCX24. In this one I have my Lexus and there's no motor in it. And that is because I've been preparing for this, a new setup from Sequre. So this comes with the motor, the ESC, the appropriate wires, and I believe the Wi-Fi tuning module. So I have brushless motors in most all of my other RC cars, except for the SCX24. And I think one of the reasons was I couldn't really justify spending hundreds of dollars on a motor in ESC when the brush motor worked well enough for me. I'm just playing around with these things. I'm not doing any competitions or not trying to say mine crawls better than anyone else's, but they are fun to fool around with and play around, especially if you just want to turn on a car and play around in the house or something, or throw it in your backpack, go on a quick trip. Sometimes I hop on my motorcycle, bring the SCX24 along and find a cool spot, pull it out and go for a little crawl. So in today's episode, we're going to be unboxing this new ESC and motor from Sequre, strapping it into the SCX24, seeing what it's all about, and then giving a little test run on one of the little home tracks, maybe get it out on the rocks and see what it can do compared to the brushed motor that I was previously running. These are my current SCX24 projects. This one being my main chassis. This is a titanium LCG chassis that I designed for the Lexus GX470 that Axial made for the SCX24s. This is a shorty angled skid prototype that I tested out. It's not going to work with this link and shock setup. And then this was the car my wife built with all the stock parts that I had from the Lexus build. And real quick, while I was going through my SCX24 stuff, I found that I had one more LCG titanium chassis for the GX470. If one of you guys wants to pick this up, I sell these in very limited quantities, and this is probably the last one of this production, but it's hand burnt, hand finished titanium, super lightweight, super strong, and I am selling this for $50 shipped. So if you're in the United States and you want a limited production SCX24 chassis that not many other people have, be sure to let me know down in the comments below and I'll get back to you. Picking up this new package from Sequre, I'm going to kind of get these guys out of the way so they're not in the shot. Yeah, it comes in this nice little plastic box. We pop it open and we'll take a look at what's in here. So it looks like we have some connectors, a couple brass pinion gears. What I'll do is I'll pull up the spec sheet that they had sent me and I'll put the specs in, but I believe like there's a mod 3, a mod 4 pinion gear set, and I think that's to accompany this going into a TRX4M or an SCX24. And then here we have the motor. I've never seen a brushless motor this small, but that is pretty cool. It appears to be a micro outrunner. It's a 1520 sized can, and it says it's a 3500 kV motor, so there should be plenty of torque in this tiny little brushless motor. And then we have their Wi-Fi card. This is to plug in to the ESC itself, and then you're able to tune all the parameters. I had this on my previous setup from Sequre when I put their Outrunner motor in my 10th scale comp crawler. And then this appears to be the ESC, which is an Escape 32 unit. So basically the AM32 setup in a tiny little box here. Should be nice and simple to mount. So they call this the Ant ESC by Sequre. It's a nice tidy little package. I'm excited to try this out on the SCX24 here. I think I got to take apart one of my transmissions in order to accompany this. One thing that I noticed that's pretty cool with this motor is it is dual drilled, and I'm assuming that's to accompany the TRX4M and the SCX24 mounting locations. And then what I have here are my two transmission setups. This is the Endura helical cut aluminum transmission, so it has slant cut gears, and then I have a stock transmission with an Endura brushed motor. And I think since I am going to have to do a pinion swap, that I won't be able to use this transmission unless I just swap the spurs out between the two. So I'm going to disassemble these really quick and see what I can do for the transmission setup here before I get these installed. Spur covers off on both of the transmissions, and going through to take a look at the pinions here, and I'm looking at the spec sheet they sent me. So it looks like the big one is a 0.3 mod 24 tooth. Then this medium sized pinion is a 0.4 mod 16 tooth, and then the small one's a 0.4 mod 11 tooth. Alright, just realizing this, me being naive with these mini crawlers and not an expert by any means, you do need a brushless motor mount to put a brushless outrunner on these, because the can hits the side of the transmission there. I don't know how well that will show up on camera. I might be able to rig something up, but what I did realize is that they make these parts for doing brushless outrunner conversions, and this is one by OGRC, and I should have that next day so I can continue this video. But it's $12.99. I will have a link down in the description for this exact part. So the motor plate adapter made it in, and I was able to mount up the Sequre outrunner motor onto the aluminum SCX24 transmission. I only had some longer M2 screws, so I will have to order the correct size, but for now this is going to work. Everything spins freely. And then I cleaned up my wires with a little bit of paracord on the wires, and then I'm going to go ahead and mount it into the chassis. So with SCX24 transmissions, you can mount them either way. Because of the drive shaft length that I'm running with these Endura stainless drive shafts, I do have to run it forward because the output for the front gear is a little more forward in the mounting position than the rear. So I'm going to have to change where I mount my battery up front and put it back onto this rear tray and mount the electronics onto the side trays. So when this sits in the position where it will go, that motor has a nice recess for it to spin freely. So I am going to get to work and bolt all this stuff together, and I will show you what it looks like when the chassis is fully ready to go. Got a battery charging, and we'll be able to test it out. I've got everything mounted up here. It kind of looks like a hodgepodge here, but these chassis are just so small and there's a lot to fit in. I possibly will go back in the future and shorten up some wires, but I got it turned on, battery in the car, and I just wanted to show you guys how smooth this is. So if you'll see, we are just barely spinning. Got some juice to it too. The low down speed is definitely impressive. Definitely reminds me of the Sequre setup I had in my 1/10 scale comp crawler. I'm going to have to throw some wheels and tires on this thing, throw the body back on, and I'll get some shots of it possibly on the test course, and then possibly taking it outside to run it on some rocks. Stay tuned. Alright, so I took the bike out for a cruise, found this cool little spot up in the hills, get away from the heat, and we got the new Sequre Brushless SCX24. So let's give it a rip, see how it does. So the one thing I did notice with this new brushless system is just how smooth and how slow you can go with it. And this is a pretty heavy truck, 1,500 or 500 grams or so, with the hard body, weighted wheels, all the aluminum parts and brass knuckles, things like that. It's also extremely quiet, along with being extremely smooth. Alright guys, I gotta say I am very impressed with the new brushless outrunner motor and ESC from Sequre. I think I can definitely do some tuning on it. There seems to be a little bit of jitter, but like I said, this is a heavy rig, so there's a bunch of weight that little outrunner is trying to pull around. And I haven't plugged in the Wi-Fi tuning box yet, so that is definitely something I can do to get it maybe a little more smooth on the bottom end, but it's not bad at all. There is definitely a lot of resolution with this motor, especially compared to the brushed motor that I was running. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Again, all the links for the parts, the motor, the ESC, and everything will be down in the description below. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.